From deep in the heart of Texas, it's On Second Thought, powered by Hook'em.com. Hosted since 2016 by your favorite sports columnists, Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman and Kirk Bohls of the Houston Chronicle. Let's do it, fellas.
On second thought, we are back. Football season creeping up on us. The Horns open up September 5th against Texas State. But we're not going to even talk about that game today because our guest only talks about big games. She doesn't. I don't think we're going to see her at the Texas State game. But I bet we see her on September 12th when the Longhorns play the Ohio State Buckeyes at DKR. ESPN writer extraordinaire Heather Dinich is back. Heather, we appreciate you joining us. How are you? And I have a quick question for you after you tell us how you're doing today.
I'm fantastic, and I'm ready for college football. Hit me. What's up?
You know, the hype of college football is a double-edged sword. You get a little excited, but this time it's like late August. We're kind of going, all right, tired of talking about what might be, and let's just get to what is. We see you everywhere, and there's a movie on the other day called Up in the Air. It's a George Clooney movie about a guy that's always in an airplane, and he's addicted to Hilton points. He's a corporate guy. If you could take a couple of seconds and tell our people what your travel schedule looks like in a typical year. You can start with the media days and work your way through that.
Sure. Well, actually, it's crazy before media days. Spring meetings you got to go to these things now. So I go to 3 spring meetings, which takes up like my whole May, which is, college football playoff spring meetings out by you guys in Irving, Las Colinas, are in late April. I've been going to that for over 12 years. Then this year I went to Big Ten media days, which from Maryland to California, spring meetings is not easy, really difficult to get to. Destin for SEC. And then July is a month eaten up by media days, but I usually go to 2 for those. And then, I try to get to 2 college football games because I try to see 2 teams at least that I think might be in the college football playoff conversation to see them, because we talk about these teams all the time. It's nice to say, yeah, I saw LSU and XYZ, right? Their quarterback was good, he wasn't good, whatever. I'm actually not going to Ohio State, Texas this year.
Stop it.
I know.
Are you in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Ann Arbor. But there's a strategic reason for it, which people probably don't understand. And it's because it's a noon kick. Every Saturday night, I write my prediction for the top 12. And this starts on week 1. And so it's very difficult, almost nearly impossible, to cover a game like Ohio State, Texas at night, pay attention to everything else that's gone on in the country, write a game story from that particular game, and crank out that top 12 prediction. It's just not human, right? So by going to that noon kick, I can cover that game while also paying attention to everything else that's going on in the country, and then going back to my hotel room and putting it all together. And then, waking up at 2 a.m. But on Labor Day weekend, I'm going to LSU Clemson, and then I'm flying from there to New York City for Get Up to be in studio on Labor Day. And then when it really picks up, as if that wasn't enough, is when the rankings start, which is this year, the first Tuesday in November. And so I'm home on the weekends so I can see everything that's happening in the country. But then on Mondays, I fly from Baltimore up to Hartford every week for the rankings to be on the Tuesday night ranking show and do everything in studio from ESPN. So I'm gone Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I come back to you guys in the DFW area for the Gaylord Texan for the final ranking of the season. And by that point, people are like, oh, you're going to the Heisman Trophy thing, or you're going to the, and I'm like,
Too much to do.
You're busy.
That's just a ceremonial. That's ceremonial. You're writing about the business.
Yeah. So that's kind of like that's the spring to national championship view of it. And that is my last trip, the national championship game. That's in Vegas.
That's why you are the first lady of college football. And
Hey,
you need to
props to
give
the first gentleman having to deal with those boys.
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. People ask, how do you do it all? I'm like, me? Like, I don't know what color watching college football. Are you kidding me? He's got to get 3 boys to 3 different places and somehow feed them and keep them alive. He wins.
He's a real hero. He's a real hero. And by the way, you need to give our mutual friend Paul Feinbaum hell for giving you so much grief all the time. Okay, you need to tell him to lay off. Okay.
Such a bully. Such a
So-
bully.
Oh, no. Do you know what? I loved him to death. And I was just talking about him earlier today because years ago, you remember when Miami had the turnover chain? This is how long
Yes.
it was. Paul, we were passing the turnover chain around in the green room at ESPN, and this is that long ago. I can't remember what he said on TV. We were on together. It was like a similar type conversation. And, he was kind of like apologizing for it in the green room. I said, Paul, like, please don't ever walk on eggshells around me, ever. Like, if we have disagreeing opinions, that is the ultimate sign of respect to me, that we can go on TV as colleagues, we can agree to disagree, and we can smile and hug afterwards. And he's one of my dearest friends. And so I love it.
You know what I thought you were going to say? I thought you were going to say Paul put on the turnover chain and fell over face first
Yeah.
because he's so little.
That'd be a good picture. That'd be a good photo. So, hey, let's start out. 1, who's your number 1 team? And 2, Texas all the way down to 5th in the AP Top 25. Does that mean there are a lot of doubters about Texas being a legitimate national contender?
There are so many doubters. Texas has been my number 1 preseason team, and I don't understand why they're not everyone's preseason team. And it's because there's never been a more difficult time in the United States of America, in the era of college football, to pick a preseason top 25. Okay. But so what do? You start with what you know, right? And we could all be wrong on this, on every one of these teams, right? But when you start with what you know, how is Texas not at the top? They are absolutely loaded. He absolutely crushed the transfer portal. They have everything that they need, all the key players and key positions. And one of the things that's so interesting to me about Texas is that Arch Manning might not be the best player on the roster. And when you can say that, about your team, you still have a Heisman contender at quarterback. I'm sorry, you're number 1.
Yeah, I mean, the AP All-America team came out. I voted on that, and 4 Longhorns on the All-America team, none of them named Arch Manning.
Oh, come
your
on.
point is well made.
Did you represent for the Burnt Orange Duck?
did.
Did you vote Arch Manning as your first team quarterback?
No, I voted for either C.J. Carr or Trinidad Chambliss.
You don't even remember which one you voted for.
I vote so many polls.
You're foul, Bohls.
So are you voting Arch number 1? Is he your Heisman winner this year, Cedric?
I don't vote. I'm just kidding. I am voting for Arch Manning. If
Already?
Arch Manning does Arch Manning type things, I'm voting for Arch Manning to win the Heisman. But what I will tell you this, sir, is I will vote for the best player in college football, whoever that might be. And if it's Arch Manning, I'll vote for Arch Manning. If it's Reggie Bush, I wouldn't do that because that was a brutal
You
thing that
had to
happened.
bring that up.
I'm not bringing up Reggie Bush. I'm not going to ever bring up Reggie again.
You just did.
But it slipped. I'm going to vote for the best player. And if it happens to be Arch, I'm going to vote for Arch. That's just how we do these things.
Now, you said you already are voting for Arch. Isn't that what he said?
If he does Arch Manning things, and if he does what I'm predicting he's going to do, then I'm probably going to vote for Arch.
Oh, yeah.
I like Arch. I like Dante Moore. I like C.J. Carr. It's going to be a quarterback that wins that thing. But, if Arch Manning picks up where he left off, I'd be hard-pressed for me to not vote for him. He was the best quarterback in the country the last 6 games.
Well, to Heather's point about why wouldn't Texas be number 1, they have had this offensive line issue, and then Trevor Gooseby has a bone bruise on his knee, probably missed the season opener, and be okay after that, we think. But Sark is 0-7 against Kirby, against Ryan Day, against Kalen DeBoer. So do you think that lends to kind of either the criticism or the skepticism about Texas, Heather?
Yes, but see, people are being honest with that. People are, I don't know if punishing is the right word, but people are taking that out on the team and not asking the right question of, can Sark do this? That's fair because of exactly what you said. Can he do it? And my response to that is, this is the year we find out, because this is the year he has everything he needs. And I talked to him at Media Day about that Florida loss and go back to your point about the offensive line. The left side of that line, you got a true freshman in there in that game. Arch got crushed. He's like, you start to figure that out, And so last year going into that, they had four new starters on the offensive line, And they've got the running game, Hollywood Smothers, and with Cam Coleman. I mean, you guys, your audience knows all these names. They're stars all around him. So he should be better, right? And the defense, and I love the hire of Muschamp. So the personnel on the whole team, including the sideline, is everything he needs to succeed. So we're going to find out. But it's fair to ask that question and put that pressure on him this year.
So you're really shocked that not more of your colleagues are on the Texas bandwagon, because this same thing happened last year, Heather Dinich, and Paul Feinbaum and Kirk Bohls were driving the bandwagon, and they drove it over a cliff.
They did.
In Gainesville. They did. So are you saying that maybe last year the people were a little premature, and this is the year with Arch got some experience under his belt that they finally break through?
Listen, you're talking to someone last year who had Penn State and Clemson 1 and 2.
Oh, wow.
Sharon O'Brien, Heather Dinich, I had Penn State winning it.
And I am not embarrassed to admit that, because again, I go back to, what do you know on paper in August? What do you think should be? Who has more answers than questions? Right. And last year I had more questions about Texas. How do you hype up a team who, just because of the last name? If there were any other last name for Arch, would we have been talking about having?
If he was Arch Dinich, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked.
They would have been crowned national champions. I mean, why even play the season?
And the schedule, Texas, tough schedule. Got 7 opponents in the top 25, and they got, I know Florida would be like 28th. That'll be a tough game as well. They didn't really consider strength of schedule. I thought they should have been in last year at 9-3 because they beat 3 top 10 teams. And they looked horrible against Florida and easily could have lost to Kentucky, Mississippi State. I get that. Is now that they're going to 9 conference game, do you think this is a year we see a 9-3 at-large team get a CFP berth, Heather?
At-large SEC team. Yeah, definitely possible. Oh, you mean any team?
Any 9-3 team.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. But here's the one thing when we talk about strength of schedule that this just sticks with me. This just drives me nuts. So last year we talked about the SEC playing 9 games. It's so tough, blah, 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 right?
Right.
If you don't consider Alabama with -3 rushing yards, playing the worst I've ever seen anyone play in a conference championship game and not dropping one spot. Yeah. If that's not considered benefit of the doubt, I don't know what that phrase means.
That's brand name benefit of the doubt. And that speaks to my point. Get the ADs off the selection committee. I want nothing but former coaches, former players. Ivan Mazel's fine. One media is fine. And then put a couple of bookies or Las Vegas odds makers on the committee. We're in bed with gambling anyway, and they always seem to know more than we do.
I don't want Guido on the committee because he might be packing. I don't want him on the committee. I don't want Joe Pesci from Casino walking into that meeting.
I'm serious.
I want Notre Dame in there, even though they've got 4 losses. I don't want that.
What do you think, Heather? Would that work? Have a couple of Las Vegas guys on the committee?
I'm with Sid. That scares the crap out of me,
This
man.
is so
I'm not gonna
shady,
lie.
Doug.
We're in bed with gambling. Every time I see
You're
you
in
on
bed with
ESPN,
gambling. We are not. You
oh,
are.
you're the gambler, Sid. We know that. So don't
I play
go there.
blackjack. I'm not betting on games.
I'm watching Heather Dinich every day on ESPN, and brought to you by FanDuel or DraftKings. Or it's all about gambling. So why have reservations about it? I'm deadly serious.
Those people have to take 2 showers after those commercials run. They understand the money is big and all of that, but I would not feel comfortable with a FanDuel or a DraftKings guy in
No,
that.
not them. Legitimate, the Vegas people. The
Oh,
one that are setting
you
the odds.
said Vegas and legitimate in the same breath. Oh my God.
Every
What are
weekend
you
said,
smoking, Bohls?
every weekend said you and I go, God, I had Alabama by 32 and they won by 33. How do they know this stuff? You know,
You don't
I
want
think
you
it
don't
could
want to know
work.
the answer to that question.
I think it could work. But anyway,
Let me ask you this,
but
Heather.
get off the ADs. Why ADs have too busy jobs to be on this committee? Do you agree or disagree, Heather?
Well, I have heard some people in and around it raise the question, not because they're so busy, but because there's so much at stake right now in college athletics with
Right.
money and finances. And it is so different now than it was when the CFP started 12 plus years ago and you had ADs on the committee. And by that, I mean, the paying of the cap and the NIL money and all of these things. So there's such a greater pressure on athletic directors
For
to
sure.
reach the college football playoff, to get the payout of it. And it's kind of like, well, maybe
Conflict of interest.
maybe this isn't the best idea. And you're also asking people, fans, coaches, players, to trust a system they cannot see. And when you don't pull back the curtain on it more, then there's always going to be skepticism about how it works inside that room.
If you have to have an AD, have it from a bad team. Like Hunter Urich, AD, he's the chairman again this year, right?
Yes, yeah.
Arkansas is not going to sniff the CFP, so he doesn't have the same conflict of interest than like the Michigan AD a couple years ago, so on.
Right.
No, if he's got time to be on that committee and Arkansas sucks, I think he needs to reprioritize what he's got going. I like Hunter, but
Yeah, I do
you
too.
got problems in Fayetteville, big dog. I need to ask you. I know Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commission, doubled down. They want 24 teams next year. You talk to him. Personally, I don't think there are 24 good teams in college football, but you talk to him, and we know that the Big Ten, the ACC, the Big 12, and Notre Dame are all on board, but the SEC is kind of split. Where do you think this is going? Do you think they can get the SEC on board? Do you think Greg Sankey and company can come to a resolution and be on board with 24 teams? Personally, I hope not, but do you think it's going to happen?
I think, everyone, including the SEC and Commissioner Greg Sankey, agree that more access would be better. The question is at what number and at what time. And I do think that Sankey has warmed up to the idea of 24. And that's based on public comments where in Destin, even this spring, he said, I am not opposed to 24, but I need more information about it. Whereas prior to that, it was like screeching brakes. We're not doing this. It's 16 or go home. But the sense I've gotten from everyone involved in these conversations is right now, there is no guarantee that a 24 team field would generate the revenue that they would want to see and need to see to compensate for getting rid of all of their conference championship games, most notably the SEC, because it's between $80 to $100 million in revenue for sources,
That's
right?
a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And at that last video conference they had, multiple sources told me that there's not a guarantee right now. And I don't know if there ever will be. I don't know if any TV industry is going to say, oh yeah, we could guarantee that we would pay this for that. And to your point though, there aren't 24 teams that can compete for the national title. There are not. You don't need to be a college football expert to know that. But Petitti's stance on that is who cares? Like every team that plays in the NBA finals and the NFL playoffs, some teams have losing records. It's a reward for a good season. It's about access. It's about return on your investment. You're firing half the SEC coaches because they don't make the playoff, right? Well, why are you asking them to spend millions in NIL if they don't have a shot at this thing? So that's the flip side of the argument is give Mizzou a chance. Like, who cares? Give Navy a chance. Who cares? See what happens. But then the flip side is Greg Sankey and a lot of others who are like, man, we don't want college football to go down the path as NASCAR, same path as college basketball. Like this, we've got something special here in this sport. Let's be really careful not to screw it up.
Don't want to water it down. Don't want to water it down.
Nobody cares about basketball till March. And,
you speak for yourself, Kirk Bohls. You quit trying to speak for everybody else.
I'm the fans. The fans aren't as...
You said March. That season starts in the wintertime.
Oh, does it?
Wow.
Football ends in late January.
Sean Miller's not listening. I hope Sean Miller's not listening to this.
Yeah, we care about basketball, but the fans check in. The thing is, and I hate the access word, because if it's just about access, let's go to 48 teams. Then we got a lot of access. Where does it stop? And I don't want access. I want deserving. I don't want it watered down to use Ced's words. So I don't know. Is Congress going to come to the rescue and solve all of college football's problems, Heather, or you think that bill will go down in defeat?
Am I going to the moon tomorrow? Because
soon.
That's kind of how I feel about it. I mean, this is not. What's that line in Christmas Vacation where Chevy Chase said, if I woke up tomorrow morning with my face sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised? I mean, that's where I go with this thing. It's not happening. It is not happening.
Right. Then what happens? What's happening then?
So then what happens is we go back to what Sankey talked about at SEC spring meetings and somewhat at Media Day, which is how can conferences create their own rules? What does that mean? Everybody... Is the SEC going to separate? Well, maybe in terms of, and Sankey said this, we already create our own rules, but what else can we do in terms of enforcing them and regulating them and doing things that we can't get sued? And I keep bringing up Texas Tech and Sorsby on the Big 12 as an example, because when the NCAA could not enforce the most basic rule, you can't bet on your own team and play in a game.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and sued, then the Big 12 found a way to file its own lawsuit in federal court and say, we have rules. This conference has rules that you can't break. And if you're going to deem him eligible, we're going to say he can't play. Right. And so I think that those are the kinds of things that conference presidents and chancellors, and then with the NIL and things like that. But it's so messy. And when I ask people, what exactly do you mean? What rules could you make? Everybody's kind of like, well, I don't know. I have to have some more meetings.
Amendments are going to kill that bill.
Here's the problem with it. The NFL has 32 teams and owned by 32 billionaires, including 31 billionaires in the Packer fan base. And so it's easier for 32 to get on the same page. But 138 are never going to get on the same page. And plus there's division in the conferences. So I thought it was an ambitious try, but attempt. That thing's not going to pass. It's just too much political infighting, and it's just never going to pass. And the one thing I'll leave it with is, you're trying to put a salary cap on what players can make, but you're not trying to put a salary cap on what coaches can make. So why are you in a free market trying to limit a young person's ability to maximize their potential? Because a lot of these kids aren't going to play pro football. This is as good as it gets. And if I can get a raise as a backup defensive tackle, I'm going for that raise, because I'm going to have to get a real job after I get out of school.
Well, actually, the only way to solve it is, to me, is a student-athlete involvement and a CBA, a collective bargaining agreement, and have each conference maybe have 3 or 4 players on that, and then have a collective agreement to solve antitrust and all of that. They're also one of the amendments in the bill is limit expansion to 19, which would give Big Ten room for one more, albeit Notre Dame, and the SEC 3 more teams. Do you think expansion happens in the next 1 to 3 years, Heather?
I think if history's taught us anything, it always happens around TV contracts.
Right.
Always. And all of us have been doing this long enough that none of us should ever say this isn't going to happen again. The question is who and when and where, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if OU and Texas can join the SEC,
anything can happen.
I mean,
except Notre Dame joining. That can't happen.
what, the SEC or a conference?
I can't see the Notre Dame joining a conference. I think they still have the SEC eyes on ACC, and I think you ought to just grab, Miami, Florida State, and maybe Duke for its basketball and move on. But I think ACC is always going to look longingly, at the SEC. So I can see that happening.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know that I would say Notre Dame's independence is forever. I don't.
Really?
I mean, they've historically said, as long as they've got the TV partnership, as long as they've got the fair access to the playoff, as long as they've got a home for their Olympic sports, those have been the 3 boxes, right? But what else happens around them? Does anything else happen around them that factors that decision? And I don't know the answer to that question. But again, I just never say never with all these things.
I know, but there's separate rules for Notre Dame. They're guaranteed a spot if they're in the top 12.
And no one cares about Notre Dame basketball or baseball or tennis or volleyball. When I hear Notre Dame, I forget that they have other sports. It's about the football team. It's about the Golden Domers. That's it.
Yeah.
So I'll never say never. They may join the SEC or the Big Ten. I don't know. I think they'd be ideal in the Big Ten, but they'd have to come up off of some of that TV money.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're willing to do that.
Yeah. Heather, A&M or Oklahoma, who do you have more faith in of those 2 Texas rivals?
Wow, that's a good question. I really like this Oklahoma team. And I think we saw when John Mateer is healthy, he's absolutely a Heisman Trophy contending quarterback. When he has the players around him, he doesn't feel like he has to do everything himself. I like the defense. That's really tricky because their schedule is so hard. I think that's why I have more faith in the Aggies.
Right.
If I'm going to actually I told you that I'm going to be in Ann Arbor for week 2. So I'll have a chance to see the Sooners and get a better take on them. But, I think when you look at the Aggies, they just need a little bit better quarterback play, better decision making. But I think that they're a team that should be kind of like where they were last year, right? They're a college football playoff team. Right. But of all the teams that could fall out, OU seems to be the one just because the schedule is insane.
Yeah, and I worry about their running game. It was on a par with Alabama's last year.
Yikes.
They got to fix that, So,
well, that's why Mateer, especially early, felt like he had to do everything.
It seems like every time I see him play, he doesn't play well. Of course, a Texas game, I tried to tell Kirk and Jenny Carlson and Barry Trammell he shouldn't have played in that game and with that broken thumb, but he played anyway and he looked horrible. But when he's healthy, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. But I like the Aggie schedule. I do too. I like the Aggie schedule. They don't play anybody. And OU's playing everybody this year. Right. So
do you know that I was roommates once with Jenny Carlson?
No way. No. She's our favorite. We love Jennifer. We love J. Carr.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story. So I was an intern at the Kansas City Star with her. Well, she was working there. I was an intern, and our apartment blew up. Have you ever heard that story?
No.
Yeah. So she was so kind to me. She let me live with her for that summer during my internship. And I will never forget this until the day I die. It was hot in Kansas City, and it was midday. And I was like, I'm going to go out for a run. And for whatever reason, I never run during the day, especially when it's hot. And she was laying on her couch and I remember she had her elbow up and she was watching TV, and I was like, I'll see you later. And I'm running and I see fire trucks. And I'm like, I literally thought in my head, there's no way they're going to our house. And for whatever reason, I started to run behind them. And I ran the whole way until I felt a woman put her hands on my shoulder and say, stop, you can't go any further. And I was like, what do you mean? That's my place. That's our apartment. It was gone.
Wow.
3 stories. Jenny jumped out her window. Her face was covered in soot. She went to the hospital, and she and I have been friends ever since. And she's always been she's just been another woman in the industry that I've always looked up to, through the Gundy
She's a
stuff.
monster, man. She's great.
She's great. What was it? A gas leak? What was it?
It was a gas leak. This is how old I am. It was a gas leak. It was on CNN. I had nothing left but the clothes I was wearing, which were obviously sweaty from running. And the Kansas City Star got me some clothes. And I was like, I got to go home. I want to go home. I was, 20 years old. And I went to fly home, and the airline was like, we can't let you on the plane. You don't have your license. This was before September 11th. And I just started crying. I was like, did you see what happened on the news? My apartment exploded. I got to go home. And they were like, get on the plane, lady.
That was nice of them.
Not many people go through that. I mean, that's
one. Just one.
Yeah, right. Just one. Hey, last question I got. I know you need to go. You're an Indiana alum. Did you paint your entire house Hoosier red after they won the national championship? And is Kurt Signetti, is he better than Kirby Smart and Ryan Day and everybody?
So for the people who are wondering if Indiana is underappreciated at number 6 in the preseason poll, my answer has been, if we were ranking coaches, the Hoosiers would be number 1.
There you go. Oh, here we go.
Is he going to drop the mic?
He's got the Signetti bobblehead.
I love that.
It's bobbling.
I love it.
Where's your Sark bobblehead, Duck?
I got a bunch of them here. I don't.
Oh my gosh, do you really? Yeah.
No, he does.
Not a Sark one. I love bobbleheads. I love bobbleheads.
Yeah. It's great. This one actually talks. It says Google me.
What are their chances of repeating? Yeah, Google me. I love it.
It depends on so much is on Josh Hoover. And I've talked to Signetti a lot about the differences in their offenses. He's told me people don't realize that, because it was Fernando Mendoza and we talk about him all the time, we ran the ball 60% of the time last year.
You're right.
At TCU, Hoover was slinging it 60% of the time. And when you do that, you're going to make mistakes. He's like, we're going to give him a running game. We're going to give him a defense. And he's not going to have to do what he did at TCU, which should help him, right? So I expect he's a great quarterback. Sig's not going to bring in a quarterback who can't get it done, and he's going to coach him up. But it's a different team. So again, with the questions, you just don't know. Coaches don't even know what the heck they have right now.
Exactly. None of us know. None of us know. It's scary.
Well, Heather, always a pleasure. You guys, if you're not following Heather Dinich online, you can follow her on X and Instagram at CFB Heather. Check out our stuff. My content on with Danny Davis, Thomas Jones, Zoe Collins on statesman.com. Sign up for my newsletter, Sed's Corner, which drops in your inbox every Tuesday. Kirk Bohls' content on HoustonChronicle.com and his Texas Sports Nation newsletter. And also hit us up on Instagram and TikTok. Also, before we go, we have a new venture coming up. Kirk Bohls, myself, the Dallas Morning News' Kevin Sherrington, and San Antonio Express news writer Greg Luca. We're going to all collaborate on a new podcast called Hear Me Out. And I believe it's going to be dropping on Fridays this fall. Be on the lookout for that. That's going to do it for On Second Thought. We appreciate you, Heather. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Say goodbye to your family, Heather.
That's a wrap. You've just experienced On Second Thought, powered by Hook'em.com. Want more? Join Sed and Kirk every Thursday for a fun sports ride from the ATX. Find archived episodes anytime on YouTube, Apple, Google Play, and Yahoo.